Welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness, thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
And welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Freeman Michaels here with Susan Leahy. Wow, that was cool.
Wow, I am worthy. That's all.
And that the well-being is innate.
It's abundant.
Yeah. And I love the idea of coherence. You know, that term is so interesting, and that, you know, it really is a light term. In other words, it can be used in physics to express how photons interact. They either interact destructively or constructively. And that's literally the language physicists use, right? Because when they're destructive, they're meeting, as it were, and in such a way that they cancel each other out. But when they move into a state of coherence, they actually then, you know, it's like waves. They form these sort of parallel waves that line up, right? And then they become bigger than the sum of their parts, and they can generate incredible light, energy, light. That's it. And so, you know, that each of us has this inherent sort of something that wants to be emerging through us.
This little light of mine.
That's it.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Go, mama.
Right? I mean, it's like, it is that, right? It's that, and maybe my light ain't so little.
Well,
and maybe that's the lesson that we need to get rid of this little light of mine. I mean, it's that we are big lights, and maybe maybe that's what's being integrated. That's what we're getting. That's what we're feeling, sensing, being reconnected to.
And that it is something that wants to take us somewhere that we can't always see from here. No. And that's so appropriate. Right. We had Jim Shannon, who you know, Jim. We love that guy. And he said,
he's a fun ride.
He is a fun ride. We had him on the show a couple weeks ago, and he said, you know, let God finish the sentence. Yeah. You know, and I think the disease really is this being tied to outcomes that are so small. Like, really, we're going to tie our lives to, you know, the number on our bank account or the, you know, I don't know what qualifies decisions, but they're not.
Well, and they do, and we do. Great. Yeah, I'm not going to do this till I have that. I'm not going to be this till I have that.
Or I'm not good enough unless you know, unless I win a Nobel Peace Prize. Well, you know, look, at the end of the day, you're worthy. And the expression of each of us, the unique expression, that this thing that wants to be born through us, this light that wants to shine through us, is in there.
Right. And when you think about that, if like our children could really embody that and take that message forward.
Well, they kind of do, Susan, because I've been around your kids, and they're little lights.
I'm hoping that that's what I mean, if they could embody
it. You as a mother.
Is that,
No, because here's the thing. I put up a video on Facebook. We'll put it up on YouTube. It's on our YouTube channel about conscious parenting. And what is so beautiful about that piece is that our kids are our master teachers.
They are.
And the learning is mutual. And what is wanting to be healed is intergenerational. Right. You know, that we really do get handed something that we at some point have the consciousness to choose. We can go, wow, this is the story I was told about who I am, what's possible, how the world works. And I'm up to doing it different.
Right. Well, and you know what? Eric Pearl says something that's so unbelievably phenomenal, that I saw him talking about this, that we think that children are empty vessels that need to be filled. And the reality is that really they are brought forth to prove to us that we ourselves are empty. Totally. And that's what we forget, is that this is not just about the fact that we've got to teach them and pour into them. It's like the more we can empty ourselves out as adults, and that, I think, gosh, is what I'm making a connection to what he's saying. God, if we can get past the technique, empty ourselves, and it's not about me already being there and filling myself up with all of this information and all of this knowledge and all of this wisdom. It's, can I just continue to empty myself out and just be in the worthiness of me?
We've used language on this show. We've called it the sacred I don't know. You know, can I really, really embrace not knowing, and then, you know, enjoy the ride, and let the unfolding.
I don't know if I.
That was funny.
I don't know if I can do that. Well, and that, I mean, it's one of those things to talk about, but then to really sit there and think about it and go, well, I don't know if I can do that, you know? So it's, because knowing it would then mean you already know. So it's, it's a fun ride. You want to know how things are going to go. So.
Yeah, we're tripping on our own consciousness sometimes. No, I mean, that's right. It was interesting because we brought this up in the show when we developed certain techniques to get out of our ego. Yeah. and until the point at which the technique becomes an ego play. And so there is this paradox. And what I was hinting at, and he kind of covered this, but I'll use different language for it, is how do I want to be with the part of me that wants to know? You know, because I don't want to kill that part of me. So some part of me wants to know and so forth. But there's so many beautiful moments where I can say to that part of me, it's okay. Yeah. You can just stay in the back seat.
Be the observer.
I'm driving the bus right now. And we don't know where we're going.
We don't know where we're going. But and it's that sense of you can self-soothe yourself.
That's right.
You know, I don't know, and it's going to be okay.
Well, and it's also this integrating of the cognitive mind. We have been on a head trip for several hundred years, maybe longer, where it's been about, well, since the age of reason, really. It's like, okay, the rational mind helped us pull us out of the dark ages, helped pull us out of superstition, because people were, you know, sacrificing virgins to please the volcano.
Yeah. Thank God that
it worked. Took 3 virgins, but it finally calmed down. No, it's geology. So we went, okay, maybe it's not sacrificing virgins. There's this geology, and we can kind of see it and figure it out from a more intelligent, thoughtful way. But then obviously we went so far with that, well, what happened to the mystery? What happened to the mystical experiences? Yeah. So I kind of see it as a rebalancing.
It is.
And I meant what I said when I feel like my cognitive faculties are sufficient. It's now about these other capacities, but I don't want to diminish my cognitive faculties because I have this great way of ordering and organizing it without being too tied to ordering and organizing it.
And to me, as I'm sitting here hearing this, what it feels like to me is that we're really going into the space of the integration of the masculine and the feminine. I love that. Which is really our full selves. Yeah. My full self, my masculine self and my feminine self, your masculine self, your feminine self. I mean, it's the integration of all that we are, and it feels like it's been really fragmented.
Well, it has. And I mean, we've covered this a little bit on this show, but I'm so grateful you bring it up because it's so worth saying again that, look, for me, and I know Barnett shares a lot of this thinking, is that the feminine is the context. It's the why for which the what makes sense. Like, what are we doing? Well, it's not what we're doing. It's why we're doing what we're doing that's so important. So again, there's so many things that we're doing because we've gotten attached to them as a what. You know, there's factories in China building truckloads of stuff that who knows whether we need it or not.
Landfill.
Yeah, but where's the why in this? Where's the feminine to say, here's the context for which the doing makes sense? Yeah. Right now, the doing is such a mechanism. And it's the same with the intellect. It's such a head trip. Well, where's your gut in this? Right. You know, where's your heart in this? You know, because that's another way of ordering and organizing information.
Yeah. And can we be fully integrated and not do this? You know, I mean, because that's what happens with us human beings. You know, we tend to be extremists, and so it's that sense of it's going to be fun to see how this integration plays out, and do we, which might be fun to swing over to one side.
You know, and look, so again, it's one of those things of the whole plane on course story. You know, the plane is off course 97% of the time, but it basically knows where it's going. Right. So the idea of balance and the idea of coming back to center. And look, I'm not against having rituals and practices to do that. Right. Just don't become attached to the practice. Yeah. That's what's giving you the outcome. I mean, it is, but not because
then who are you if you let go of the practice?
Right.
Because this is the piece that I think really plagues individuals and human beings, male, female, whatever it is that sense of if whatever the technique, the job, the role, the title is taken away and you don't have that anymore,
who am I?
Who are you?
Yeah. No, it's a great point.
Who are you?
Yeah. And so the more deep, more thoughtful, more substantial understanding of something that is innate,
right?
You know, to really believe. Artists have this. You know, when an artist creates something, you know, the really great artists, they'll always say, I don't know where that came from.
I don't know. Yeah, it was divine. Really, came through me.
It came through me. They have a relationship with the mystery that doesn't diminish them. It actually expresses how beautiful a gift they are because they're the instrument through which this thing got expressed.
And they can acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And it can be acknowledged.
Yeah.
You know, this is a really simple form. I don't know why I'm thinking of my dad right now, but I'm hearing my dad in my voice, and he said, you know, it's always easy to love yourself when the phone is ringing.
Right.
You know, when people are calling you and people are wanting you and people are kind of singing your praises. But he's like, do you love yourself when you're sitting alone in the room and nobody's knocking on the door, nobody's ringing, and it's just you? And it's that sense of it's the same thing. Can you be with the divine when it's not about outside, when you're just alone?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
again, we love paradox here. So I think often, and this word balance is so critical, that alone sometimes is this beautiful gift of solitude, and alone sometimes is isolation.
Right.
And it becomes a defense mechanism. And it may have started as solitude, but look, if you're spending 50 years in a cave and you're calling that your life, you blew it.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it might have started off as solitude.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm finding myself. But then, you get lost in that and find yourself to go give the gift, because we are relational beings,
Yes,
right?
we are.
So it's really a delicate balance. At what point are we moving? Is it codependent, or is it interdependent?
Yeah.
Do I have enough alone time, me time, solitude to sort of refuel and reflect? So funny. You and I were talking about this recently, about going on retreats and how cool it is to walk away from your life.
Yeah.
To just kind of take note of what's going on inside of me and, reconnect.
Well, you can't. I feel like sometimes you can't see yourself when you're standing right in front of your life.
Yeah.
It's like it's just too much in your face, and so you got to step away, and somehow it's that sense of giving you the opportunity to exhale and.
In simple terms, of breaking the routine.
And you're reconnecting. You're connecting back into another part of yourself.
I think we're talking about reconnection.
We're talking about reconnection. Right?
We've got a theme for the show. How cool is that?
The word is genius. Connect, reconnect. Because isn't that what we all want to do? Reconnect with ourselves, with the universe.
Tapping is another piece of language. I'm tapping. We use the tapping technique sometimes. A little technique-y, but still pretty cool.
Yeah, our techniques are not bad. I don't think that he's at all saying
No, I don't think he is.
Bad.
Well, but so look, I still know some of the tappers who go, I got to go tap about this. And I'm like, do you really have to tap about it? Like, okay, it's a cool technique. I love the technique. And Nick is also a great friend of ours.
In that moment in their life, that's the technique that is giving them some connection.
So what they've done is they've attached now their well-being to the tapping. And we're saying, no, the well-being is innate. Yeah. Tapping was a cool tool to tap into. A sense of peace and ease and a way of relating.
Well-being is innate.
Yeah.
Right. But we don't. I mean, I keep thinking of my son the other day. He's like, "Mom, I need a Band-Aid, Band-Aid."
Oh yeah.
And kids are obsessed with Band-Aids.
They are.
Obsessed.
My kids still do it. 8 and 10. They're still going, I need a Band-Aid. I'm like, you really don't need a Band-Aid.
You need a Band-Aid.
If a Band-Aid makes you feel better, I'll give you one.
So let's just think about that. What kind of Band-Aids do we put on our lives? They love the physical Band-Aids, but aren't we putting emotional Band-Aids everywhere?
Constantly.
Band-Aids. I mean, we never outgrow that.
You know what's cool? This just came to mind. Have you heard the Kaiser Permanente commercial?
Thrive.
Which I love as a motto, about hugging and the effects of hugging in terms of brain chemistry. It's really great. So my kids hear this on the radio, and my daughter's like, we should hug more. And I was like, oh, how cool is that? We should hug more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a radio ad because it stimulates some part of the brain and
Well, you know what that is? It's connection.
It is.
It is. I mean, with that then that's one thing too about Eric Pearl is that people listening might be, okay, reconnection, healings, laying hands on what, yada yada. But his work has been researched and it's scientifically backed.
Definitely.
I mean, that's the amazing thing, and I think that's why it's having the level of success. I mean, this is for real. It's doing something at the biological level. They're able to track it. So it's
and
amazing.
that again is this marrying of the cognitive with the intuitive and with all these other, maybe mystical experiences. And I do feel like we've got a convergence, like this moment in time, at least for me, and you share it because we hang out together, and we're transformational leaders, right?
But let's not get our ego in the way.
Right.
But let's not let our ego.
Hold off. Don't go there. It's such a slippery slope. So that part.
I am a transformational leader.
But that part comes too.
Right.
That part comes too. And with that, we have come to the end of today's broadcast.
That was so fast.
I know it always is. It's good when you're having fun.
It was very fun.
So I want to say a couple things. I want to say, first of all, thank you so much for playing in my sandbox.
My pleasure. And thank you, Barnett, wherever you are.
And I want to give folks your website. Now, I want to just plug a little bit that oftentimes, folks, we get caught in impasses in communication, especially around work. And Susan is a genius at helping people develop communication, and there's some technique with this, having to do with how we hold a vision, how we interact, what's the quality of the experience, and so forth. So tell folks before we leave how they can find you.
Well, you can find me, just search my name either at YouTube or on my website, Susan Leahy, and that's Leahy, SusanLeahy.com. And I have an interesting site called Robert's Rules Made Simple. So any of you out there who use Robert's Rules of Order as a book to run your meetings,
yes, that's some of the business work,
right? And I am transforming how people learn Robert's Rules of Order as a tool, a communication tool to actually help their boards really transform to become a team.
Perfect.
So robertsrulesmadesimple.com.
And we, of course, will hope to see you back here again sometime when Barnett is out of town. For all of you listening or watching, we thank you for tuning in, and we invite you to keep coming back to Cutting Edge Consciousness.